Hello. So this is kind of part two of what I was doing with my kids. We added some mark making. Now we used they're kind of mechanical pencils. They've got a 0.3 lead. My kids really like them, so I bought my younger two one of their own. I've got a couple, so we had enough for all of us to use one. And we just kind of added patterns, and if I zoom you in, you'll be able to see some of the things they were doing. This one was quite a favourite here, where you kind of use dots and create triangles. You can see they've got playing with lines and kind of different kinds of shading, some scumbling. I really like this one where it kind of goes in, and this here, it looks a bit like blanket stitch. I don't think I can get you any closer than that. Oh, maybe a tiny bit. So this bit here, because there's an outline and then the dashes go in, it looks a bit like blanket stitch. And then on this one, he chose to do some outlining, played around with this kind of triangle pattern quite a bit. We talked about repeating the design in 2 or 3 places so it helped pull it together. He also had these little pencil lines where they come around the edge, which is really quite cool. I absolutely love this bit down here where he's got the circles in there. I'm going to say, excuse me if my nails are dirty, I've been playing around with some inks and I think they've gone underneath a little bit. Here we've got kind of like a scaly pattern, which is really cool. So you can see there's lots of different playing on those dashes up here. This one's kind of almost got more of a pattern to it, I suppose. There's kind of lines on the lander shapes, if I get it the right way up, and sticky outlines around the rectangles, and this lovely loose kind of double line to make like a border that looks really awesome, I think. Let me see if I can zoom out and show you that so you can see what I mean. And actually it's really quite striking and really draws your attention and brings these kind of orange shapes really forward, which is quite clever. And this is the one that I was working on, and you can see that I have kind of showed them a couple of my favourite things, and I'd got an example that I'd done before. I really like that triangle mark, and I've added some dashes on the outside here and on the inside, and then I've just done some really simple double line stripes and just played around with that. So what I want to do is, I've got the one that we were working on last time that we did our glazing with, and I thought I would just show you some of the things that you could do. So you can see I've got my shapes here. Now when I'm doing this with the kids, what I do is I show them a couple of examples that I've got, or some marks on a scrap piece of paper, and then I just let them enjoy and play with whatever takes their fancy. We've done stuff before, so things like spirals, circles, dashes, different patterns. So I'm just going to show you a few of those so you've got some ideas that you can share, just in case you are not a crazy artist lady like me who remembers stuff like that and forgets things that might be perhaps more practically useful. Like, what do I forget often? I forget when I've got things cooking unless I set a timer. So I'll zoom you into this top one here. This kind of mark making is actually really fantastic for pencil control, for fine motor skills. It's really good for improving your handwriting. In my previous life when I was a teacher, I actually can absolutely say hand on heart that kids that did this kind of work, their handwriting improved, their pencil control improved massively. So a really simple one to start with is dashes. So you can see all I'm doing is just a dash. I'm pulling it down. Now if you don't have a pencil like this, a mechanical pencil, you can absolutely do this with a HB pencil, and I will show you. I will grab a pencil. Oh, somebody's been raiding my pencil supplies, and I've got a very short pencil, so I really like these actually. And you just need to get a decent sharp point on it. You might need to sharpen it like regularly as you're doing it, but you look, I can get marks that are just as defined, just as clear, and just as kind of small and fine. So you can see you could finish that all across there. I'm going to leave that for a second and show you another one. that's using the same kind of thing. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. If you go diagonally one way, and then on the line above, diagonally the other way, and then you can do the same, and then you could fill up using that one like that, and just take it all the way up. So that's the second mark that you could use, just still really just using lines and dashes. A third one that I really like, where shall I pop it? I'm thinking as well I need to make sure I leave spaces to get these two in two other places as well. So I'm just going to pop dashes in this one over here to remind myself that I'm going to put dashes in here. And I'm going to put little zigzags just here, I think, on this one. Like that. Now, if you don't want to use pencil, you can use pen. Use fine liners are really good. If you want to use things like Posca pens or paint pens, then I would suggest doing quite simple patterns. Dots, dashes, long stripes work really well. Another one that you can do with lines that I really like is you do 3 that go straight down, and 3 that go across, and 3 that go straight down, 3 that go across, until you get to the end of your space. Then when you start underneath, you start with the opposite. So this has 3 straight down, so I'm going to do 3 across, 3 straight down. You get this kind of basket weave effect as you repeat that all the way down. And again, this is still just lines. We haven't even kind of thought about doing circles or spirals or triangles or anything like that yet. And we've got lots of variation in the kind of marks we can use. See how that one will build up. So I'm going to pick a spot where I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to pop it just here, so that when I come to finish this, I've got it at least in 2 places on there, and that will kind of help for it to feel like it's going together. I'm going to show you the triangle mark because we all really enjoyed doing that. I'm going to go into this space just here. Now there's lots of different ways you can do this, and there isn't right and wrong. I sometimes start with dots like this, and I just do a little area, and then I start to join to make triangles, but I want them not to be the same kind of size or shape, and just kind of join them to keep making triangles like that, and then some more dots. And the dots are quite fun if they're a bit bigger as well. We found they look quite striking and interesting. So we had some really lovely, it was really quiet actually. We did some TV art where we had the TV on, and we were all leaning on various things on the sofa, and just adding some marks, and then we did our watercolour ready for our next little project. Let's pop a little dot there, and you can see how this just builds up. And you just add dots as you need them. I'll go for that like that. I kind of try not to have really kind of all the same size or type of triangle. It's quite interesting talking with the kids about, you know, what kind of triangles we end up with, whether we've got equilateral triangles or right angle triangles. So I'll pop that in another place as well. And then the other thing that you can do is you can add just some really simple little dashes going around the shape. Now, one of the things that helps with stuff like this is that if each kind of mark that you're doing looks very purposefully put there and very deliberate, so slowing down can actually be quite a useful thing to do. I'm going to do that here as well. So I'm just going to add those pencil bits in and pop a little bit of music on so that you can see how it looks, and what I might suggest that you did next. So you can see that those pencil marks add some really lovely texture. If you only have pencil, keep going with that, or until the kids and you feel like you're happy with it. If you have any other options, so I'm just grabbing a couple of things, like you might have gel pens. Try them out over a little swatch if you can, just to see how they work. Some gel pens will go over, some won't. You may have fine liners, so you could actually do this in black fine liner. You might have dip pens and ink. That can be a tricky thing because of the bumps in the watercolour paper, but if you stick with really simple just lines and stripes, it can be really effective. You might have things like white Posca pens or coloured Posca pens that you could use. This is a Signo Uniball Gold pen, and this is a Sakura Jelly Roll, a white again, and these can be really quite fun to use. So with white, if it's a paint pen like this, you have to shake it really well to make sure that the paint and the kind of thinner that's in there are mixed together. And so I would pick maybe a darker kind of area and just dots. They're dead simple, it's just press and release the pen. Again, you've got kind of the practice of the pencil grip and all those kind of extra things that are great because it means they're working on the muscles in their hands. And I know with my guys, although we did handwriting stuff, they were always more enthusiastic about doing art or something that involved using tweezers and things like that that could do the same job of strengthening their fingers. So I'm just adding these dots into a few places. I'm going to do this one here too because it's a really dark area, and so those white dots are going to show up really beautifully. You can do the marks and the dashes in these too, but obviously because the end is thicker than a pencil, it's harder to get such fine detail. I really like the gold Signo Uniball, so I'm just going to zoom you in because this square is quite small, just here. There we go. And I am just going to go for kind of concentric square design like that. If I tilt it, you might get to see the sparkle. And I'm going to just do that in a couple of other places. So I've got a little one down here. That would work really well. Just going to do that there. And then probably going to do this little bit here. And then I'm going to put little gold dashes just in this bit here. If you don't have one of these, you may well find that you've got some kind of metallic pen, or if you don't have a metallic pen, you can do this with metallic paint and a fine paintbrush. It does take a little bit of practice. But that's what this is all about. It's not about it being like perfect or anything like that. It's about practicing and having a space where you can try things out without, you know, any real over attachment or worry about it being perfect. I think it's really good to have somewhere where you can play, and for me these kind of cards are definitely that, and my sketchbooks are definitely that. And if I find something that I don't like, then next time I know that I don't like that, and that's really helpful for me to be able to go, oh yeah, I didn't like that, and that's okay. I don't have to like everything, but just because I didn't like it doesn't mean I'm no good at it. And that's one of the kind of key principles with mindfulness, is that idea of letting go of judgments, of judging yourself, and having that kind of inner conversation in your head where there's the equation between you thinking it's good and you being good at that thing. And so with art, it's often if it doesn't look exactly how you imagined, or you can find something you don't like about it, that can translate in your head to you not being good at art, and that's it's not a truth. Just because you hit something or do something you don't like doesn't mean you're no good at art. It just means you found something that you don't like, and next time you'll do it a little bit differently, and that's how we learn, and that's how we grow. I'm just looking to see if there's any other places I might want to add some gold. Kind of. I'm getting drawn to this space here, but I'm not sure what I want to do in it. I think I may want to just do a line of dashes, not the whole thing, just a little line of them that goes across like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same here in this one. And I think I'm at the stage where I'm kind of happy to call that done, but I did like that loose line that went around the outside. Now mine doesn't necessarily need a border, but I like the idea of adding one, and one of the ways of doing it is you kind of get your pen or your pencil and you go round, and you're not trying to be straight. And you do it again, and you're trying to almost deliberately go slightly off the line so you get little overlaps while still creating a little bit of a border. And I am really happy with that, and I'm really happy with these. I think they're a really cute, colourful, interesting little set of explorations that we've done together and that we have enjoyed. And it's something that you can repeat, different colours, different shapes, different patterns. These actually, if you've got paper and you fold them over and make a card, they make lovely little note cards that you can then write a note and send a letter to someone that you aren't seeing at the moment, or you can scan it in and send it as a picture as part of an email or something like that. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's given you some ideas of how you can look at some of those really simple kind of watercolour skills of wetting wet and glazing, and now the mark making that we can put on top of that. Hopefully we'll see you really soon. If you have enjoyed the lesson, please leave me a comment. If you do create any work and you share it, please tag me in at Ray Creates. I would love to see it. Take care.